Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for what seems like the first time in about a month to VidaneTV. Showtime, Paul Strickland Jr. up here in the broadcast booth, and alongside me, as always, on Thursday nights, Aaron Creed. And Aaron, how we feeling tonight, brother?
Oh, we're feeling pretty good. We're back at it here, and guess what? We're at. Well, you know what? There was a certain famous YouTube personality this past weekend that says he's going to Dega next. But you know what? We're at Dega tonight. Well, virtual Dega, ready to
Virtual
do some
Diga, indeed.
doing some restrictor plate racing. This is going to be exciting. We had an exciting one to start the season at Daytona, and here we go again.
Absolutely. A little Cletus McFarland action on the Daytona ARCA race this past week. Got taken out a little bit early, but it was cool to see him out there ripping around like a bald eagle. And congratulations to Butterbean. He's won here a time or two here on VidaneTV. Take a look at this starting grid already. The Canadians up front. Ryan Messer parking that one truck on the pole. Brent Roy going to start on his outside. Reggie Parent, Steve Daddio, Corey Casagrande, and Cody LeBlanc going to round out the first six.
Yeah, good qualifying run for LeBlanc. Also, a good qualifying run for Dan Winter in seventh. Michael Hopkins in eighth. There's their Daytona winner, Evan Boyer. He is in the field tonight, starting in ninth. Jason Ricker 10th. Zane Farrell, Kobe Burkholder. Good to see a few drivers that haven't been in the races in recent weeks back in the show this week.
Absolutely. Bobby Ship in the 04 car going to roll off P13. Joey Dwyer in the Biscuits truck, the Bluey truck, going to roll off 14. Jeffrey Bradway and Keith Lord there in row number 8. Jared Adams and Garrett Benson going to round out 17th and 18th.
Yeah, pretty big field tonight. Jeffrey Brown, we'll be talking about him. He's one of the drivers to watch tonight, alongside the guy that gave us those notes to tell us that he's one of the drivers to watch. Arsal starting in 20th. John Miller, Austin Belkey, Scott McDonald, Kenny Kibbe starting way back in 24th spot. Rounding out the field, there we see Eric Kern, Brian Ship, and must have someone that's a mystery in 27th there, but Adam Henry will bring up the back of the field.
So 28, well, we'll call it 27 and a half trucks because I'm not really sure what's going on with that 27th position there, but almost or definitely a full field here at Talladega. And this is one of the best times to kind of run these big plate track races, the super speedways, as it were, because we just came off of Daytona 500 weekend, great weekend of racing all the way through, and again with the ARCA race, the Cup race, Xfinity, all the winners that kind of it almost puts everybody in the mood for super speedway racing. We don't do it a lot here with the NEP, but it's one of the fun things that we do here on VidaneTV. Take a bunch of short trackers and put them out on the big tracks and see who comes out on top.
And tonight's the night to capitalize. We're on a final 5-week stretch of racing before we determine the new NEP champion. And there's already championship not invocations. We already gave the invocation. Implications. John Peters, point leader. 3 wins this year, 9-point lead over Steve Daddio. He's not in the field tonight. So that's really going to mix things up. It's going to give some drivers such as Daddio and Kenny Kibbe a chance to potentially pull away in this championship race, try to run away with it like a rabbit.
Indeed, they will. John Peters, the all-time winner here in the NEP Series. Brent Roy got himself a win at Big Indy last week. He moved himself into 5th in the all-time win list with seven. And Kenny Kibbe, trying to mash all my notes together in one noise here. Kenny Kibbe won the IRP race in the shortest, or the closest rather, short track finish in NEP history. He moved himself to 3rd on the all-time win list with 9. That pace truck took that hard left turn down to the safety of pit road. We are getting ready to go green flag racing here at the virtual Talladega.
Yeah, and so you remember at Talladega, start-finish line's a little bit further down, not right at the tri-oval, and now we're underway. And they're going to get up to speed here slowly into turn 1. Probably not going to see a lot of slicing and dicing for position just yet until they get out of turn 2 and head down the backstretch and get to full speed here shortly. But right now, Ryan Messer and Brent Roy making up that front row as Stephen Daddio giving Brent Roy a little bit of a push on that outside.
Talked to Brent Roy earlier on in the week, gave us a little bit of a heads up. All the 229 Autosports teammates are rocking that bright yellow bumper, or spoiler rather, so that's going to be good to kind of help spot out your teammates, and it'll help us out here in the booth because a lot of times we get lost on these super speedways as well.
It's kind of like the No Bull 5 back in the NASCAR days when they'd all run that red number if they were eligible for the $1 million. But someone's going to be feeling like $1 million once we're done. Looks like our notes say 55 laps, but it looks like we're going to be running 60 according to the scoring. So that's going to be fun if that is true. Kind of puts what you and I were talking about maybe a little bit out of touch in regard to fuel strategy. We said that they can make it about 27 green flag laps on a tank of fuel, approximately. So we were going to think, is someone going to try to stretch it on one stop? Well, if it's going to be 5 laps longer than we had originally anticipated, well, that's going to it's kind of throw that out the window potentially, unless we have a lot of yellow flag laps. Right now, Ryan Messer leading the way, staying pretty quiet right now, even though they're 2x2x2x2x2x2.
All the way through clean racing so far here for the first handful of laps. These drivers do still have some tires down on pit road as well. They got 2 extra sets that they can use throughout the series of the race here tonight. So RSAL TV making us look good, making us sound good with all the extra stats. We appreciate that here for race number 14. It's hard to believe it's already 14 races into the season as we go 3x3x3.
Yeah, and that's RSAL right there on the outside line. In that number 12 with some help from a couple of buddies there, including Kenny Kibbe in the 4, who started back in 24th. Joey Dwyron's in that line. Austin Belke. Belke and Kibbe are going to be excited because we're going to their home state, I believe, next week in Michigan. So, but they're going to try to get away with a win here this week as you see them drafting with RSAL in that number 12 on that outside line. RSAL gets a little bit twitchy there, and it kind of slows down that line for the time being, as Ryan Messer is going to continue leading the way with help from Regan Parent.
Doing a lot of homework, these drivers are. They're just trying to figure out how long it's going to take them to get that big run and shoot on up to the high side and try and get around everybody. We always make the joke here at Talladega and Daytona where Dale Earnhardt Jr., Martin Truex Jr. talking back and forth. It's like Talladega BR. Well, that's kind of, they had a little extra grip in the old game, the 2003 season game, way back in the day. And a lot of drivers still kind of make that similar joke, but they get around on that outside and they will try and get around the rest of the field here.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of maneuverability here. It's a big word right
there. That's a $10 word. Holy cow.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but it does seem that way as they're hugging this double yellow line right there on the inside. A lot of them are. But yeah, drivers taking advantage of any kind of room that they have, as we're still very early in this, not even 5 laps in, and we're just kind of seeing how it all shakes out from lap to lap. But you're probably going to see this continuously as Adam Henry in the 62 started shotgun on the field, logs the fastest lap of the race in that number 62. He's one of those that's on that outside line. Regan Parent pulling to the inside on the backstretch here. Not sure what's going on with the 17, but he pulls out a line, maybe a connection issue. We'll have to see what happens with that the 117 machine that is pretty far up there in the points, as we continue to see Ryan Messer and Brent Roy pretty much showing the way so far. But we've talked about it a lot of times here on these restrictor plate tracks. It doesn't matter where you start. It matters only where you finish and where you're running. Once you cross that, not even on the last lap, but once you cross that start-finish line on that last lap, as anything can happen all the way to the end here. I mean, as we see, Kenny Kibbe started 24th. He's already in the top 5.
Yeah, not quite the qualifying effort we're used to seeing out of that Ford truck, but making it work. He's gained a bunch of positions so far here this evening, all clean, all green so far here in this one as well. And these NEP guys always putting on a show here for us on Thursday night. Tonight, no different. You see Brent Roy kind of getting stuck in that sucker hole a little bit, drops back to just outside maybe the bottom half of the top 10, but he still has a fast truck in that number 26 Flow Racing Tundra, and you can see he's going to try and take a look on the outside, maybe see if he can get a little bit of grip up there.
Yeah, Brent's going to tuck out there to the outside and see if anyone's going to follow him. It looks like a couple thought about it, but everyone's kind of looks like they might hang him out to dry for the time being, and Brent's going to have to work his way back to the front. But we'll have to see how all this goes. Reggie Parent must be running okay because we just got the notification he ran the fastest lap. So good to see that 117 still out there. But But right now, there you see Garrett Benson. We don't get to talk about him very often, but he's right there in that front draft in that number 77 truck, following Austin Belkey. Actually, no, that's Jared Adams behind him, but he's in front of Adam Henry, that white number 77. So a lot of drivers. That's what's cool about Talladega as well. Some drivers that we don't always get to talk about running towards the front, doing their thing. Jared Adams running in the front pack as well in the 43. He's going to be the sponsor for, I believe it's the finale at Dover at the end of the season in about 4 short weeks, I guess you could say.
Yeah, getting down to the nitty-gritty in this season, and the points are tight up throughout the top 5, especially with the points leader John Peters not being in the field here this evening. And reigning defending champion takes over the lead in that 99 truck. Steve Daddio holding on to it for now. Kenny Kibbe, Ryan Messer, Ryan Salvatore, and Cody LeBlanc, the top 5 as they run. But as you can see, they're 2x2 all the way throughout this field. They are not done slicing and dicing yet. We've got 53 laps to go.
Yeah, definitely a lot to be settled here as we see pretty much the entire field. I think that is the entire field in this front pack. Eric Kern, I think, is 2 seconds back in 27th place, but I just saw his truck in that picture. So every single truck pretty much has a shot at a victory right now as we see it ride kind of mid-pack right now. Interesting, Evan Boyer with some different number font going on there in 56 this week. I might have to see if he'll get a top 3 finish so we can ask him about that. But the Daytona winner kind of riding right now. I kind of remember seeing that at Daytona as well. Wasn't necessarily the front runner for tons of laps there, and then was where he needed to be when it all counted. So that's what's important here. Arsal getting some time up front. Well, maybe not. Steven Daddio getting a push from Cody LeBlanc. And it looks like Daddio is going to lead at the line. No, Arsal going to lead at the line.
Tight racing all the way throughout this pack, side by side as they get down into turns 1 and 2. Salvatore holding pretty strong up there in that top line. He's got a great pusher in behind with that one truck, Ryan Messer, the 4 of Kenny Kibbe right there as well. And I believe Cody LeBlanc has pushed that 7NH truck into the second in the bottom side there, right behind former, or not former, but reigning defending champ.
Yeah, a lot going on here. And there you see Steven Daddio. It's been a rarity where we have seen him not finish on the podium. And he's going to be in contention right now to take the point lead. In fact, he's got 12 top 5s in 13 races this year. How about that? 1 win. We've seen him getting a lot of seconds and thirds, but and he's only led 46 laps, which is actually a lot less than he did last year. So John Peters has led the most with over 300 laps led. Kenny Kibbe with 244. Brent Roy with 134. So those are the only 3 drivers in triple digits with laps led. I think Ryan Messer broke into the triple digits this race as he had 98 laps led before this race. So I think he's already been able to accomplish that. But he wants to get a win, as there you see him in the middle of the pack right now. Messer with only 1 victory so far this season. He'd like to get into in not double digits, but be one of those repeat winners this season. And Arsal, he's going for his first. We just missed talking to him at Daytona. He just finished just off the podium. Maybe this is the race where we'll get to talk to him post-race.
For sure, holding pretty tough in that bottom line, and you can see that top line getting a little bit more organized once again. Still a long way to go in this one. We're going to have a couple of pit stops at the least as well, so we got to keep an eye out for that. But a lot of what these guys are doing, we can see it here on the voice chat program. All these teammates, all these drivers are able to communicate back and forth with one another. So there was that one time that NASCAR tried that in the Cup Series where you were able to have car-to-car communications with whomever you were working with or trying to draft with. So these guys are coming up with plans. They're trying to figure out what's going to work later on in this one, do their homework, find out what's working, what's not working, and how hard they're going to have to push. There you see the 78 truck of Mike Hopkins having himself a solid run here. He's the 3rd truck on the middle groove.
Yeah, definitely. Mike Hopkins doing a good job so far early on. And like you alluded to there with pit stops, that's going to be another important kind of deal. Is you're going to have to get with the right dancing partner to come down pit road. You don't want to get left on pit road by yourself and then get back on the track and be out of the draft. So we saw that happen on occasion on these tracks, especially at Daytona. Talladega is a little bit easier to catch back up to the pack, but if you're completely hung out dry and several seconds behind, you're going to need a yellow flag. And these NEP drivers, they're so skilled on these restrictor plate tracks that we haven't really had much of a history, or at least a recent history, of yellow flags on these restrictor plate tracks. So right now we've been clean and green for 20, no, 13 laps. My math is almost off, but yeah, there we go. 13 laps, and they are getting closer and closer to each other, trying out some of that side drafting. Messer and Parent on the outside doing their thing to try to get up front, but it does still seem like that lower line is still more organized. And when we get to the stripe, it seems like they've been able to lead at the line more often. So there you see Parent kind of moving side to side there. As he runs behind Messer. And we're going to see if that is enough momentum for Messer to get into the lead this time by. And it is. Look at Messer drifting right down to the inside immediately in front of Arsal. What a move.
And there you see Reggie Parent. I don't know why I struggle with his nickname so much.
Reginald.
Reggie Parent, Reginald up in the 17 truck. He's having himself a run in that high groove. He wasn't off the pace, but he was towards the back of the pack just a few short laps ago, and he's made his way up to the front. Looks like he's going to be able to pull out by just a little bit. Well, he's going to pull out by 3-4 truck lengths. He's got a big push there from Brent Roy and Mike Hopkins in the 78.
Yeah, there you go, right there. That's going to help. But it does seem like most of them are sticking with this inside line now, and it's going to be tough for that outside line to form if it's just 4 trucks. As I say that, it looked like that Daddio was getting to the outside line, finding a little space. And with Daddio in that line, my prediction might not hold true, and we might see this outside line get to the front. I think Brent Roy led by just a smidge there on that lap. But Regan Parent on the outside, and now Mike Hopkins peeking to the outside of Parent to see what we can do there. So yeah, there's there's just too many storylines to follow right here as we continue on and on. Right now, it's still only about 3 seconds back to last place, so still anybody's race.
Indeed, it is, and we've seen that anything can happen and will happen on these super speedway races here on VidaneTV. You can follow along at home as well. Shoot on over to vidane.tv/scoring. We've got timing and scoring hooked up. You can see where all 27 drivers are running in this one, quick lap times and all that good stuff as well. That's presented by Wingnuts Timing and or Wingnut Productions rather. Wingnut Productions Timing and Scoring. That's what it's called. Shout out to Mr. Reiki hooking us up with that. And as you can see on that score, Keith Lord going to take a quick time, 49.798, 795. I think it were. I'm gonna have to get these eyes checked out again, but picking them up, putting them down here at Talladega.
Now, what's 3 thousandths of a second?
Right. It's only Talladega.
Thanks for the reminder. I've got timing and scoring up now as well, so it's a lot of fun to follow along with for sure. And right now, there's not really a ton to follow along with because they're all running similar speeds. They're all in the same strategy right now because no one has pitted. So right now, though, from 1st to 27th, last place, we're at less than 3 seconds. So anybody can get this done here by the time it's over. If it sticks around this way, I think I saw in the back there. Actually, no, I was wrong. I thought that was Austin Belkey, but Belkey's actually running in 11th. That's actually Jeffrey Brown that's in the back, and he's one of our drivers to watch. His career best was in season 3, and that was a 7th at Daytona, and he's got an average finish of 15th on super speedways. So, and if you're betting on him, his over-under is 17.5 tonight.
Yeah, pretty cool deal that RSal TV is hooked up with the net bets, being able to have a little bit of fun, maybe make a little bit of jingle in the pockets with these NEP races here each and every Thursday night. And As we cross this stripe, that's going to be lap 19. We're about 7 to 8 laps from green flag pit stops. And I know a thing or two about these super speedway racers. I'd be willing to bet there's going to be at least one group that's going to try and peel off early, get down pit road while it's empty, get some fuel into the cars, and get on down the road. So keep an eye out for that. 42 laps to go, at least 2 pit stops.
That's another thing to keep an eye out on, is that these guys get on and off pit road cleanly. The green flag pit stops are no easy feat, and making no mistakes and getting on or off pit road. Don't speed now. That's one of the keys to the victory. And so that, and of course, as we talked about with these restricted place tracks, staying out of the big one. But right now, we just got a big pack of cars running clean and green. So right now, there's not really a lot to be fearful of, since everyone's been kind of cooperating with each other and giving each other some space and respect on the track. It's pretty much been the Brent Roy and Ryan Messer show out front. Good job by them in the 26 and the 1. We might have to be playing the Canadian national anthem a little bit more here at post race when we have the podium celebration.
Indeed, we will. And just a quick update on that. Canada is up by 1 over USA. 9.5 minutes left to go in the first period of that championship all-star game. I'm not much of a hockey guy, but I feel like everybody's watching that game, and I feel like we've got some pit stops happening.
Yes, we do. Hopefully we don't see any hockey kind of fights on pit road, as we got a number of trucks on pit road a little bit earlier than we might have expected. Only about 19, 20 laps in here, and that's going to make things a little interesting. They do have 2 sets of tires at their leisure. So we're going to see what's going to happen here and who's going to get off pit road first. There's Eric Kern in the number 21. He's running towards the back of the pack, but he gets out in pretty good. And there's Mr. Pace Car driver. Good view of him, as well as Corey Casagrande and Cody LeBlanc get off pit road first, it looks like.
I'm not even sure whose idea it was to put a camera right there, but that's kind of entertaining. Pit stops happening here with 40 laps to go at the virtual Talladega. Taking a quick look, it's still Brent Roy and Ryan Messer up front. Ryan Salvatore, Steve Daddio, and Adam Henry currently the top 5 as they run. Oh, Mike Hopkins.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. That was very interesting. It looks like his truck just kind of shut down there. It didn't look like he was wrecked or anything. And we're still under green. He's gotten back going. So I don't know if there was a mishap off of pit road there or what exactly happened. But now Mike Hopkins, he's going to have to catch up to this field as Brent Roy leads Ryan Messer and Ryan Salvatore through the turns. Any takers on pit road this time? Doesn't.
Solid maybe,
Yeah.
It looks like.
Yeah. No, none this time, it looks like. We got a few trucks on and off the pit road there. But, a couple of these drivers that had a rough go of it during their pit stops are going to definitely be hoping for a yellow flag to catch back up into the field, especially Mike Hopkins there in the 78. Him and Eric Kern, it looks like Eric Kern's lost a lap as well. So I'm not sure what happened to the 21. We saw him get off pit road earlier on without any issue. So, we're going to have to see how this all sorts itself out.
Yeah, and one of the tough things here tonight, is some may or may not know, I'm at an Airbnb down in Auburndale, Florida. I forgot to pack my button box, and I don't remember how to do the replays manually. I hate to admit that, but unfortunately we won't have the replays. But there you can see a big slide there from, can't tell which truck that is, but they get the trucks locked up, and everybody else looking like they're going to come down pit road.
Yeah, we had. I wanted to see what that truck was. It says now booking on the back. I want to see what they're booking, but we'll have to get back to that here shortly. But meanwhile, up front, Arcel staying out with Stephen Daddio, Kenny Kibbe, and a few others. So some of these drivers continuing to decide to stay out and do their thing for another lap. And right now, though, a bunch of drivers on pit road, getting off pit road, I'm sure. But Ryan Salvatore just like we saw him do at Daytona, getting some time out front, but now he's going to come down, and it looks like all the rest are going to come and follow him. Once Arcel made that move, I'm sure they were communicating about it. Steve Daddio goes off the track a little bit there and gets in the grass, but recovers, and here we all are down pit road.
A little bit too hot to trot for the 99, but he gathers it back up. Doesn't look like he'll have a speeding penalty on that. We'll double check, though, with the big red truck as he comes to the attention of his crew. Ryan Salvatore, did he miss his pit stall?
I don't know. He might have. That won't be good if that's the case. We've seen him have such a great run. He's already back on the track, so he's gonna have to figure out what to do here.
Yeah, it looks may have driven right by the crew for the 12th truck. That is heartbreaking because as we made mention, Arcel pretty good in these super speedway races. So being able to run up front in the top 5, top 10, even lead a couple of laps here, it almost looks like he's off the pace here too. He might be out of fuel.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the math here. We're at about 24 laps complete, so I wouldn't think that we'd be quite there yet, but he is still off the pace here, so that's not a good sign. And back up front, we saw Corey Casagrande and Cody LeBlanc. Now we switched them. Cody LeBlanc and oh no, that's Keith Lord, the 17, not the 7, running up front. But we saw this pack come out of pit road pretty sporty, with pretty sporty pit stops. So now they're up front, and we've got a different batch of trucks out front. Keith Lord getting a push from Corey Casagrande, Zane Farrell 3rd. Then it's Cody LeBlanc in 4th. And in 5th, I think that's Jeffrey Bradway.
Yeah, Joey Dwyer and Ryan Messer, Reagan Parent, Brent Roy, and Garrett Benson, the top 10 as they run. Kenny Kibbe on the outside of the top 10, looking in 11th right now. 36 laps to go and at least one more pit stop. And we've seen this thing go green here for 26 laps. Couple of quick little incidents, but nothing too crazy, nothing major. And these guys know that they're going to have one more pit stop. When do you come down? Do you try and short pit and pit with 27, 25 laps to go? Or do you run that tank dry, stay out as long as you can, and try and capitalize on fuel from later on?
Or will there be a yellow and then that completely takes out our whole discussion of everything?
Usually what happens.
But right now, yeah, that's a good question because we did see some pit a little earlier than we had expected. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. Ryan Messer and Brent Roy, I see them back in the picture already, doing their thing, getting back towards the front. They got some help from Colby Burkholder in the 29 on the inside line there. They're following Joey Dwyer in the 73. They're catching the slower truck of Eric Kern, who ran into some kind of problem after that pit stop, and he falls, I think it's a second lap down now. So Eric Kern's going to have some work to do. It looks like Ryan Salvatore might have called it a night. He's a couple laps down already. Tough break for the 12 that led a bunch of laps there. And better luck when we go back to Daytona for the next season. But right now, Zane Farrell getting to the front as they're catching a slower truck. That might be Arcel, actually, that they're catching up on. I think that is, and he's going to lose another lap, unfortunately. He's going to need a few yellows to get back on the lead lap here. I don't know if there are that many that are coming.
No, and he's going to need, like you said, a handful of them because Eric Kern, not Justin Kern, Eric Kern. He's a lap down here as well. Ryan Salvatore is 2 laps down, so at the very least, we need 3 cautions to get back on the lead lap, unless he can kind of finagle the pit stops just a little bit. I'd be willing to bet that 12 truck may have run out of gas, just trying to stretch it as far as he could. But so the one thing that doesn't make sense to me is in his notes, he told me 27 laps.
Yeah, I wonder if that was one of the NEP bets. I don't know, but right now, yeah, we're still watching up front. A great battle going on. Zane Farrell getting a little bit of help from Cody right there, and there's Corey on the outside, and Jeffrey Bradway, Reggie Parent, Garrett Benson, a whole bunch of drivers that I think all of these guys except Parent have not won. Well, Joey Dwyron's won this season as well, but yeah, there's a lot of drivers that are hungry for their first win of the year. Corey Casagrande is looking for his first NEP win, and he's right now. I mean, he missed a couple races here recently, and here he is back. I know he just got back from Florida after a few days. Um, so a lot going on right now. Zane Farrell also looking to kind of rebound after missing a couple races this year, and he's doing it well right now out front. But we're still only in the middle of stages. Barney's going to actually give the cross flags here the next time around, and I have a feeling we might see some of the cream rise back to the top before this is over.
And it's really going to get interesting here as we cross the stripe or get ready to cross the stripe. 30 down, 30 to go in this one. Lots of different strategies going into this one as well, but we still have 24, 25 trucks on the lead lap. You can see Chip and Hopkins going to go down a lap here, so that gives us 23 trucks on the lead lap. Oh, a little bit sideways there. I believe that was the 48 truck of Chip.
Yeah, I don't know if he just veered to the left to get out of the way or what exactly happened there, but I think we continue under green for the time being. Whoa, loose there, though, on that inside line. That's going to allow Corey Casagrande to get some momentum there on the outside. Ryan Messer is in that line. And, well, Zane's able to gather it back up, and he could be back in the lead, back at the line, or even before that, as we see. So, man, things just come and go so quickly here. And come and go and come back again, I guess you could say.
Indeed, they do. And we made mention earlier on the first half of this race, these drivers going to be going to school, doing their homework a little bit, see who's quick, who's not quick, they can push, who they can pull around this racetrack. Because drafting, you're not going to win this race by yourself. You need at least a dance partner, maybe some teammates, maybe some friends or some frenemies, as it were. You've got to be able to kind of find who works best with you, who you work best with, and get it kind of set up, put yourself in that position for the final handful of laps here. So you can see there's a lot of different mix-ups and matchups with these drivers as they're still 2x2. And we made mention there's still about 22 trucks in that lead draft.
Yeah, a lot to still be settled here. Whoa, Daddio and Corey Casagrande almost making contact there. And right now they're going to gather it back up and try to get this outside line moving once again. But Daddio's peeking to the inside, maybe trying to make it 3 wide. Corey's going to kind of pull the block a little bit here. And Regan Parent going to move the outside. Corey kind of can't make up his mind which lane he wants to run in right now.
Moves up to the high side. Oh, the 17 truck into the outside wall. Doesn't look like it slowed him down. Well, it looks like it slowed him down a little bit. We stay clean. We stay green. 28 laps to go. And that's one of those deals where these guys are going around this track almost 200 miles an hour. So having to make those split-second decisions, whether it's the middle groove or the high groove, which lane you can kind of jump in, you got to give it to these drivers. There's a lot going on in each and every single one.
Yeah, there's a whole lot going on here, and they're all managing to keep it straight though. And wow, a few moments there where you kind of have to catch your breath, and I'm sure they're doing the same thing. And right now though, Daddio, I believe that is out front, yes, in the number 99 with a little help from Austin Belke in the 24, but Zane Farrell continuing on that low side with help from Cody LeBlanc. And Kenny Kibbe moving to the outside here. Is anyone going to go with him? That's the big question.
Looks like the 17 truck apparent going to go up in there. With him getting up into the outside wall there a lap or two ago, that's going to limit him to be able to, it's going to have a little bit of aerodynamic damage on that truck. So he's going to try and get tucked up with this 4 truck. He knows Kenny's going to be fast when it comes down to the checkered flag. So you can see that 17 truck doing everything he can to get up onto that rear bumper and give him just a little bit of a nudge. You can see Daddio there leading the middle line, and the Zane Farrell still up front in that 14 truck. I'm so used to seeing him in the pink car, but man, he's got the white truck out there now, and he's ripping around like a bald eagle there.
He sure is. A lot to be decided here still, and yeah, pulling his best Cletus impression right now, it seems. But Kenny Kibbe on the outside, though, he's got a championship to win. And he's got help from Regan Parent, and he's trying to get around Steven Daddio. Right now, in the points chase, he is only 7 back from Daddio. for what's currently second, what is probably going to be the point lead before this is all said and done tonight, with John Peters already having a drop and missing tonight's race. So he's going to have some ground to make up for the final 4 races to claim his 4th NEP title. But right now, that middle lane is actually working a little better. But as we say that, they fan out, and we're going about 4 wide.
I was going to mention about 10 laps ago, keep an eye on that 2-4 truck of Austin Belke. He really busted onto the scene here in the NEP series when we ran these super trucks, the team deal, a few seasons ago. Very, very knowledgeable about these trucks, and he is a master of these super speedway races. You can see he gets a little bit hung out to dry up on the top side, but I think we can chalk that up into doing a little bit of homework, trying to find out who he can work with. You can see Ryan Salvatore down in the bottom of the racetrack. Looks like he just came off a pit road. Gonna have to keep an eye on that ticker up top. We're at 25 laps to go. Potentially, if we went green, we could make the final race or the final 25 laps on a tank of fuel. But I think these guys want to have a little bit of wiggle room just in case the calculations aren't quite there, and they want to make sure they've got a little bit extra in the tank in case of a green-white checker.
You got to have that wiggle room, don't you? It's always
That's what
nice
it's
to
all
have
about.
that. Yeah. We're talking about racing, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a whole lot going on here, and there's still a lot to be determined. As we've talked about, we're probably nearing, I would say, in a few laps. If the first round of pit stops was any indication, the second round of pit stops, and we saw some mistakes made and some little hiccups and whatnot, and some really good pit stops from some of these drivers that are out front, such as Corey Casagrande, who's back in the top in that 7CT, and we'll see a couple of them kind of making little maneuvers there around hugging that yellow line. Thought we might have seen someone coming into the pits, but nope, not this time by Reggie Parent making a move there to the inside and takes the lead.
One of the things I'm kind of seeing here is that you can tell these drivers are getting ready for pit stops as they're all kind of getting down on that bottom line. But I'm seeing up top, if we can get like 4 or 5 trucks hooked up, they're almost able to push that lead truck on the outside up to the lead, and they're able to get down to the bottom side. But then they start to fade back just a little bit. I'm almost wondering if that's by design by some of these drivers, if they're testing some things out. But you can see they kind of push together, and then once they become disorganized, they kind of drop back a little bit. But then they'll pick up another 1, 2, 3 drivers and be able to move right back up.
I think it's all a part of, setting yourself up for that final lap or final corner or final tri-oval, I guess you could say, to see that's the big question. What position do you want to be on at any of those moments on that final lap to be in contention for the victory? Do you want to be in the lead, or do you want to be in second? Do you want to be on that high line to try to make one of those types of maneuvers? Can you do it? Will you have enough help? All of those things they're probably discussing in the chat. And they're probably talking to each other about. Man, I don't know. Garrett Benson in the lead in the 77. That might be the first time we've seen him up front this season in his rookie season with the NEP. Yep, he's got a couple top tens, but no laps led. So good to see Garrett Benson out front for the time being. We'll see how long that lasts. As here comes Kenny Kibbe on the outside once again, with help from fellow Michigan racer Austin Belke.
And there you see, we're going to get to the stripe. The 77 truck going to get himself a lap led.
Yes.
There it is. Garrett Benson put one in the column.
How about that? Good job, Garrett Benson. He's got help from Regan Parent, Corey Casagrande, Zane Farrell, Cody LeBlanc. A lot of drivers there getting ready they're doing their thing on the inside. We only got 3 trucks on the outside for the time being, like we talked about. Could be short-lived. That might see them all fan out once again and try to do something. But I feel like some of them are getting organized once again to come down pit road here any lap.
Yeah, and you saw that 77 truck get a push from the outside, and there you see a whole slew of drivers coming down pit road. At least half the field, it looks like. Believe everybody gets mowed down okay. There's a little bit of tire smoke. Nobody's pointed up. Somebody's pointing in the wrong direction.
I think that's Reggie Parent.
I think it is. That's a tough break for that 17 truck, if that indeed was him. And I believe you're exactly correct.
So we'll have to see how that all turns out.
And there you
but
see
everyone.
the 7 truck getting the brakes woed up. How about a 2 no tire stop? It looks like for the 56. A lot of drivers taking fuel only for this one. You can see the right side, left side getting jacked up now on Corey Casagrande's truck in that 7 CT. So he's going to get hung out to dry here. He's going to have fresh tires, but there goes the bus.
Yep, here we go. And the big question is, will this be the last pit stop now? We got 20 to go. They're within the fuel window. Or if we end up with a late yellow, I mean, I guess if they only have 2 extra sets of tires, I imagine they took them in each of these pit stops. So Talladega, a little bit, if I remember correctly, trying to remember which one was paved most recently. I think Daytona was paved more recently than Talladega, but the pavement is a little bit worn. So it does, even though you're running kind of wide open and everyone's kind of doing the same thing, it does wear the tires out after a certain amount of time. So right now, Kenny Kibbe looks to be the truck to beat for the time being over Steven Daddio, Ryan Messer. We're talking about the cream rising to the top. There you go. Those are some accomplished racers, including Daytona winner Evan Boyer. We haven't talked about him in a bit, but he's running in fourth now as they approach a couple slower trucks.
Yeah, front 10 or 12 trucks or so still have to come down pit road at least one more time, get that thing topped off with the Sunoco race fuel. But getting down to it, 18 laps to go here at the virtual Talladega. You see Mike Hopkins going down a lap in that number 78 truck. Very strong early on in the 78, and unfortunately not able to gather up a good finish here tonight. But I would be willing to bet they're going to take that virtual 78 truck, put a tarp on it, and get it ready for Daytona next season.
Yeah, possibly, because they'll have the different trucks for Michigan next week. But another super speedway type track, though, just without restrictor plates. And is this going to be the time that we see these leaders come down pit road? The answer is no. Kenny Kibbe staying out. Everyone's going to follow him. I have a feeling once Kibbe or whoever is leading the time that they decide to come into the pits does that, then everyone else will follow. But right now, they're all staying single file out front. And it's Kibbe, Daddio, Messer, Boyer, and Belke, the top five. And then running up front among the trucks that have pitted, it looks like Corey Casagrande is 45 seconds behind in 11th spot. There's a couple trucks that are 23 seconds behind. John Miller and Bobby Ship, we haven't really talked about them. They're kind of running their own race right now. We'll have to see how it all shakes out once the pits sequence around.
Now, with these leaders, this is going to be big because there's going to be almost a split between this group if they all do, in fact, come down pit road at the same time. When you come down pit road here in iRacing, you're able to set and you're able to tell your virtual pit crew how much fuel to put into these trucks. A lot of these drivers that have been doing this for a long, long time, they will know. They'll have it calculated out exactly how much fuel they'll need for 14 or 15 laps, and that's all they'll take. So they'll be on pit road for seconds, and being that this thing has been green all the way up to 15 laps to go, 16 laps to go, they're going to save as much time as they can down on pit road, and that's going to turn into straightaways here on the racetrack.
Yeah, but what happens if you do get a green-white checker finish? We haven't seen a yellow yet, but what if things start getting a little hairy as the laps wind down once everyone is bunched back up, and then all of a sudden we're extending the distance of this race. We're going down pit road this time by. It looks like Kenny Kibbe and the rest of them coming down. We're going to see what they all decide to do. Daddio nearly gets turned there by Ryan Messer. They both get him woed up just in time.
Another shot of our pace car driver there on pit road. Everybody coming down. Oh, Kibbe misses his stall. He has to back up. That is detrimental to what he's trying to do in that Ford truck. And looks like he had to kind of finagle himself around to get back into that stall. No tires for the Ford truck, fuel only. We'll see if he's able to save a little time. You can already see the 24 of Belke pulling away. So Kibbe's going to have to find some friends.
Yeah, that's not gonna work to his advantage at all. As right now, the current leaders on track are these two, John Miller and Bobby Ship. I'm
Speaking
not
of bald
quite,
eagles,
yeah, I'm not quite sure what kind of strategy they're running on right now, but they're kind of running by themselves, and they're still out on the track, and they're about 20 or so seconds ahead of. Actually, they're only about 10 seconds ahead looks like Ryan Messer and company as they come back out onto the track. So that's going to be interesting because there's no way that they're going to stay that far ahead. As much as they have help from RSal, maybe with Scott McDonald here, maybe he'll tuck in behind them and they'll try to draft ahead. But the thing about Talladega though is if you got a big pack of 20 trucks 10 seconds behind, they're going to catch up to you before this race is over because we still got 13 laps next time by remaining, and that's still a long way from being home.
Oh, for sure. These guys are waiting for a quick caution here. They were hoping that maybe somebody beefed it down on pit road, whether it was down entry or exit, because they've been out, these top two drivers, Miller and Chip, they've been out there for 23, 24 laps now at this point. We saw during that last frequency, that last pit stops rather, Arsal ran out on about 25, 26 laps in. So they're probably running on fumes. They're hoping for that quick caution, but I think these guys are going to have to come down pit road sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we saw Bobby Ship actually did decide to come down pit road, so now it's just Johnny Miller, and it looks like that's he's kind of checking up there. That's not good in that number 6 truck. I don't know exactly what kind of strategy he's trying to run here, but you've seen him run the strategies well before. He's got a podium finish this year. We enjoyed his little interview. We thank him for kind of him, and I think it was it Corey the other night, the second night, a couple weeks back when you and I couldn't make it, for kind of filling in for us with calling the IRP and the Indy broadcasts. So I appreciate them doing what they could. Well, I know you kind of misjudged your your schedule at the track down in Florida, and I had some other things going on too. So, but we're glad to be back. Thanks everyone for kind of filling in with us for us.
Yeah, solid team effort by the boys. Jeff Brown, I'm pretty sure helped out. I still haven't had a chance to sit down and watch the race all the way through. I did make sure that everything was good and they were live. But man, I've been on the road for almost a month. You and I were talking before we came on the air here tonight. Loving it, following these real race cars around, but still got to give attention to these drivers here in the sim rigs. And there you see those pair of Canadians started 1-2. They're running 1-2. Brett Roy holding on to the lead, the Tundra Kid, as it were, in the 26 truck. Ryan Messer in behind him. Evan Bollier in third. Keith Lord, Reagan Perrin up in the top 5. Kind of a who's who here in the NEP. What was that earlier about cream rising to the crop?
Yeah, that's definitely for sure. But don't look now. We got some of these other New Englanders trying to do something and knock these Canadians off the podium. There you see Regan Parent, Corey Casagrande, a couple Connecticut guys. Where's Regan from Massachusetts? They're all going to yell at me now if I'm getting the states wrong. I shouldn't do that. I had a interview I did for Snowball Derby about 10 or so years ago with Austin Terrio, and I said he was from Vermont, not Maine, and I heard all about that. So, but
Oh, Messer.
yeah, Messer and Corey Casagrande going into the wall, and it's going to get Adam Henry turn around, and we're going to have our first yellow of the evening. That kind of happened out of nowhere.
Indeed, it is. You can see the one truck able to grab a gear and get rolling once again. Looks like he's going to hold on to 14th, as it were. There's Corey Casagrande in the 7CT. He was involved as well. I don't believe there's too much damage on that. But with 11 laps to go, that's going to affect the way this race ends, and that's going to affect the psyche of all these drivers.
Yeah, and it's going to bunch everything back up, and we're going to go 2x2x2 when we restart this in a couple laps. So that is going to make things very, very interesting. It looks like that's Keith Lord came out. I think he came out unscathed. So yeah, we're going to see how this all shakes out. Is anyone going to come back down pit road, top it off? I don't know. They were just most of them were just in. So yeah, it's going to be interesting how this. We're going to have we're probably going to have about 8 laps to go. Ryan Messer coming in for some repairs to see if he can get things straightened out. Tough break for the driver that's I feel like has led the most laps in tonight's race.
Yeah, speaking of leading laps, there's Zane Farrell in the 14 truck down on pit road as well. Jeffrey Brown, I believe, is going to get the wave around this time by, being he's the first truck one lap down. You might see some of these drivers come down to add a little bit of fuel to these race trucks just to kind of add a little bit more weight to get the handling closer to the beginning of the race, but it doesn't affect it too much here on the super speedways. Keith Lord up front, Brent Roy, Reggie Parent, Joe Dwyron, and Evan Boley are going to be the top 5 as they run. Reigning defending champion 99 of Steve Daddio running in 6th, Jason Ricker running 7th. I don't think we've talked about Jason all night so far in that 9 truck, having a solid go of it. Jeff Bradway, Cody LeBlanc, and Colby Burkholder the top 10.
Yeah, but don't look now, but some of those guys outside the top 10 are still going to be contenders. So I feel like we still got about 20 or so, maybe even more than that, that could be in contention here for the victory. It looks like we've got I'm trying to count how many we got on the lead lap. We did have a few that kind of fell by the wayside with some repairs there. Looks like Zane Farrell might be done for the night. Tough break for him too, because he led a bunch of laps there in the middle stages. So yeah, it looks like we've got about 19 or 20 still on the lead lap, including Jeffrey Brown. We were talking about him in the 27. It looks like we still got him being shown on the lead lap in that 27 truck. So when we go back to green, it's going to be an interesting order. We got, I think it's Keith Lord in the top spot. Brent Roy running in 2nd, Regan Parent 3rd, Joey Dwyer in 4th, Evan Boyer in 5th. And we kind of recapped that top 10 already, but yeah, that's going to be where to watch. Ryan Messer, I think, is going to stay on the lead lap, despite the repairs that were made. So we might not have seen the last of the number 1 truck yet.
Some extended pit stops for some of our lap leaders here. Corey Casagrande, Garrett Benson, and Zane Farrell still all down on pit road, getting some repairs to the virtual machines here at Talladega. And it wasn't, I wouldn't quite classify that as the big one, but we've seen it many times in real racing and in sim racing, especially here on VidaneTV. Cautions breed caution. So these guys going to have to be on their toes for this restart, and we will see if we can make it to the checkered flag.
Yes, we will see indeed. As we continue to, we do see a couple trucks towards the back of the field coming to pit road. Adam Henry, I think, was one of them. We saw him be able to make a move on the outside earlier in the race. He might be coming in to fix a little damage. I know he caught a piece of that when Zane Farrell was out of control there, lost control there, and maybe they're just kind of topping it off a little bit here as they come back down pit road. Can't come off pit road. And that's one driver we don't see tonight, Dale Glessner, not in the field. You know, when you think of Daytona or Talladega, you always think of Dale. But not tonight, unfortunately. But right now, those are going to be the drivers to watch up front. Keith Lord and Brent Roy. Keith's done his share of spotting already in real life, including at Daytona. Pair 17 is going to lead that inside line when we do go back to green, which I think is going to be this time by.
Yeah, looks like the lights are off on the Silverado Pace truck. We're lined up 2 by 2. Adam Henry looking like might be saving some fuel, or maybe he's grabbing a quick drink or something down there below the yellow line. I'm sure he'll get back up there by the time we take the green flag. But when we cross the stripe, it'll be 7 laps to go. I'm going to put you on the spot, Aaron. Who are you taking tonight?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to pick anyone. But Brent Roy's been up front pretty much this entire race. He might be the one to beat in that 26 truck. But if I were to make a bet, I wouldn't make a bet because your chances are probably going to be that you're going to lose because you probably only have a 5% chance of your pick winning here because it's like we said, there's about 20 trucks that still have a chance here as the pace truck gets ready to pull down pit road.
Well, if you take Brent Roy's 5% and you match it up with everybody else's 5%, you get a 33% and a 3% chance, and one of these guys is going to win the fight at sacrifice. little Steiner math. There's like 4 people watching that are going to get that joke, and they're going to laugh heartily at it. Green flag getting ready to fly once again here at the virtual Talladega. 7 laps to go here. One of the biggest tracks we run on here in the NEP series. Joey Dwyer jumping on down to the bottom side. He's going to take that 4th spot in line.
Yeah, I think that's going to kind of slow up some of the trucks behind him as they're all coming to speed still, as we know on these. Well, it's the only restart so far, but it takes the trucks, about half a lap or so at least to get up to speed with these restrictor plates. So right now, Joey Dwyer kind of held up Evan Boyer in them, and Boyer went to the outside line and going to see if he can push his way to the front with Brent Roy and Stephen Daddio and try to sweep the restrictor plate races for this season. But right now, it's that inside line that's running really well as we see Keith Lord up front and trying to stay up front for a rare victory. Keith hasn't been able to run very many races. He's only run 7 races this season, but has a couple top 5s. So definitely not a surprise to see him up front. Whenever he does show up, has a chance to, when he's not traveling on a Thursday night to the next racetrack. And so it's good to see Keith up front. He's getting a push from this fellow number 17, Regan Parent, Joey Dwyer on the inside. But there's that outside line again. Brent Roy, Stephen Daddio, Evan Boyer pushing their way to try to get alongside of them.
And don't look now. Here comes the 3rd line being led by Austin Belke in that 24 truck. As Parent going to jump up to the middle groove up in front of Brent Roy. Going to try and take a push from the number 26. 3 wide as they thunder down the front straightaway. Keep in mind, Aaron, you mentioned it earlier on. The start-finish line is all the way down here, closer to turn number 1. We got the 5-5 from Barney up in the flag stand. 5 laps to go. There you see Mike Hopkins jumping up on the high side. I believe he's still a couple of laps down, but he's going to try and get him some laps in.
Yeah, definitely. It could. I mean, his speed could help someone else, and also think about this: he's the first truck as of now with scoring that is 1 lap down. So if we get a late race yellow and a green white checker finish, he's back on the lead lap. So definitely can't really hang back necessarily when it's coming to that. He is kind of jolting around back and forth there. But right now we see that outside line again working pretty well. Regan Parent is going to lead this time by with 4 to go. Evan Boyer trying to make that 3rd line work. He tucked back into the 2nd line for a moment, but now he's back on that outside line. He's going to follow Brent Roy, who opens up that 3rd lane in that number, in that number 26, but it doesn't seem to work. Evan Boyer pulls back into that middle lane again. And here comes the inside again. Keith Lord, Joey Dwyer doing their thing once again. And but right now that middle-ish lane is working the best so far, it seems, as now Stephen Daddio gets pushed to the outside.
Now, keep in mind that 17 truck of Reggie Parent, he's got damage on the right side of that truck. He's going to have a little bit of aero. He might not quite be the quickest truck to lead this pack. You can see the 78 all over the back bumper of that 17. You've seen a couple of trucks kind of dip out on that high side, but they don't have enough momentum to get up and around. There you see Joey Dwyer in the 73 truck sliding on up. He's going to take that position on the high side. He's going to get a big run and a big push from the 17.
Yeah, and how about Hopkins? Well, we'll talk about him later. We're mixing things up behind him.
Roy's in it.
Daddio getting around, Brent Roy nudging the wall, and a few other trucks involved. But you know what this means, Paul? We're going to have a green-white checker finish to this one. Garrett Benson.
Yeah, he gets a little bit of damage. Scott McDonald, the 44. He gets a little bit of damage there as well. Jeffrey Brown, late to the party. He was off the pace a little bit, and he kind of came in and said, oh, hey, you guys are wrecking. We're back on the lead lap. How about that?
Yeah, and well, speaking of back on the lead lap, I think this will put Mike Hopkins back on the lead lap, as I believe he was that first truck a lap down. So we'll be back to having, well, as of now, we'll have 19 trucks on the lead lap. I don't know if anyone's going to fall off with some of the damage sustained late in this race. But we'll have to see what happens. It looks like Joey Dwyer was also involved. So we're going to reset this order again when we go back racing for a 2-lap dash. in a few circuits. But I think right now being scored in the lead is Joey. Well, actually, yeah, Joey Dwyer's in the lead. Sorry about that. The seats just we're just kind of catching up to where the pace truck is and everything. I think that's what's going on here. So apologies for that. Just trying to get all our surroundings reset here for this final restart. So it's Joey Dwyer in the lead, our winner at Iowa earlier in the year. Regan Parent in second, Keith Lord third, Jeffrey Bradway fourth, and Jason Ricker fifth. Then it's Colby Burkholder, Evan Bollier, Cody LeBlanc, Dan Winter, and Stephen Daddio right now being scored in 10th because I think he was the highest up truck that was involved in that caution. So, but I have a feeling we might see a handful come down pit road for some minor repairs and get things situated for this last run.
Yeah, just taking a quick peek. It looks like the 26 truck of Brent Roy going to come down pit road, try and get some damage repaired on that machine. And just like us, get a little bit get a little bit frazzled with the late race caution. It's going to jack up all these drivers' plans as well. We talked earlier about doing your homework, seeing how long it takes to get that run on the outside or maybe up in the middle groove. All that's out the window at this point because now we're going to get restart with a green-white checkered. You've got no time to get up to the front.
Yeah, especially we've talked about it before with the initial start and then the previous restart. It takes these trucks. I mean, you're not allowed to get up to speed, and I guess that was Eric Kern that's getting a lap back, not Mike Hopkins. But I'm not sure what that was all about. Um, but anyway, or maybe that was Jared Adams. I'm losing track of things here, Paul. But there's Mike Hopkins in the 78, kind of drifting back there. But losing my train of thought, kind of throwing me off here. But we were talking about the restarts. The start finish line isn't until past the tri-oval, so you're not allowed to come up to speed or pass another competitor until you cross that line for the restart, and then you're not getting up to speed really until you're through the first couple turns. So then it's not until the backstretch of 2 laps to go that you're really getting up to speed. So I mean, everyone's dealing with the same thing. So, but we're gonna have to see how everyone gets organized and decides which lane they're going to go in and everything once we double up and go racing again.
And that's going to be one of those deals too. You might not see a black flag if somebody jumps the start or if they cross over the other lane beforehand. But you can bet when they review this race in the big red trailer after the fact, they are going to be looking for stuff just like that, especially on a green-white checkered. It looks like we should get the one to go this time by, and we'll get them all doubled up, lined up 2 by 2, and see what we can do for the finish here at Talladega.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be Joey Dwyer and Regan Parent on the front row. Dwyer's going to choose the inside. Not a surprise there. We've seen those outside lines come in pretty well and have an advantage at times, but it seems like the inside line, especially on these starts, is the way to go. So we'll have to see if that inside line, which is going to be composed of Joey Dwyer as well as Keith Lord and Jason Ricker and Evan Boyer, can make some music here when we go back green. Kenny Kibbe actually back into the top 10 now. So he'll be one to watch. I think he's running, actually, he's in 11th. But he's another one that we might see. Kibbe and Daddio still having their little championship battle, technically. They're just around that 10th spot, and we'll see if they can make any maneuvers up towards the top as well.
Yeah, I look forward to shooting over to the NEP Facebook page after this one once we get all the points calculated and ready to rock and roll, because I think we're going to jumble some things up in that top 5. It is close as we are 4-5 races away from championship race here in the NEP series. Crazy to think, 14 races in, this will be the 14th race of the season. Joey Dryman in that 73 truck holding on it to the lead. The 17 truck, remember, he's got damage on the right side of that 17 truck with Reagan Parents. So we'll see what that high line's able to do. We'll see what the low line's able to do.
And Joey Dwyer in real life, he's won in the month of February before. Yeah, he won a race. I think it was probably about almost 10 years ago now. Actually, I think it was 9 years ago at Greenville Pickens when that track was open. He won the Pass Winter Meltdown. out there. So that was in early February. So Joey's going to try to do the thing where he wins on the virtual track and the real track during the month of February. There's not too many guys that can say they've done that. So we'll see what happens here. There you see Jeffrey Bradway moving side to side here as we get ready to go back green. Remember, they can't get up to speed here just yet because the start finish line not right here at the trioval. Here they go, starting to accelerate. Joey Dwyer and Regan Parent on the front row. Keith Lord really getting a head of steam there. He's going to try to push Joey Dwyer into that lead, but so is Jeffrey Bradway doing the same thing with Regan Parent.
And you can see everybody getting up to full song here at Talladega. Usually gets up to full speed by the time they get down to turn number 3. Still side by side up front for that front position. Joey Drouin down on the bottom side. Regan Parent up on the high side. He's got a little bit of a push, but I think Joey's got a little bit more oomph down on the bottom side. Who's that red truck all the way up there on the high side?
That's Colby Burkholder, but it doesn't look like he's going to have any dancing partners, but a kind of a bold move there for him to try. I mean, sometimes that's your only way that you're going to be able to potentially win. That would have been kind of cool if someone went with him. We have maybe not an improbable, but a different winner, I guess you could say. But coming to the white flag, that inside line's working still. Joey Dwyer and Keith Lord, they're jostling around a bit though. That could spell some trouble. But right now we're taking the white flag, so we're on the final lap. This is where it's all going to be settled. I don't think we're going to be doing any kind of a NASCAR thing here where they throw the yellow when everyone's gone by, like we saw a couple times this past week at Daytona. But right now, Joey Dwyer and Regan Parent, who's going to have the fastest horse, or I guess you could say pusher, to get to the front. Keith Lord is really pushing that 73. The thing is, he wants to push so much that he gets clear of Regan Parent and then can maybe make a move in the trioval try to get around Joey Dwyer.
Neck and neck as they come down the front straightaway. Big push there from Keith Lord in that 17 truck. Throw a tarp over all these trucks. They're going to cross the stripe as a group. Joey Drouin, biscuits. He comes home with the W. A couple of trucks pointed in the wrong direction after the start finish line. How about that with Evan Bollier? 49.344. Quickest lap of the race happens on the final lap.
Wow, how about that? Yeah. That's you got to show what you have when it counts, and that's what they all did there up front. So this is going to be interesting. Second win of the year or of his NEP career, and only by 0.05 of a second over Keith Lord, Jason Ricker, Reggie Parent, and Jeffrey Bradway. Evan Bollier, the Daytona winner, finishes 6th. Cody Blanc 7th. Steve Daddio might propel himself into the point lead here with an 8th place finish. Dan Winter and Johnny Miller round out the top 10. And then I think it was Kenny Kibbe finishing 11th. So he's not going to lose too much ground to Daddio, but Daddio does get the best out of those two championship contenders tonight.
We're going to watch the 73 truck burn those tires down as only the Bluey truck can. He's going to go down and put on a show there for the folks down in turn 1. They stuck around out here. They've got, the best seats in the house. He's going to get a little bumpsky bump there from the 17 truck as well. How about some dueling donuts? Let's go.
They're having a good time, that's for sure.
So we're going to talk to our top 3 drivers here momentarily. We'll see if we can get hooked up with the top 3 and see who all wants to come up and have a little bit of a chat here. We made mention we're doing the whole mobile broadcast thing, so I'm all sorts of turned around trying to figure out what the heck I'm doing here. Definitely not stalling, and that's the wrong button. Definitely not stalling. But there you can see the top 10 once again. Joey Dwyer and Keith Lord and Jason Ricker finishing in the top 3.
Yeah, we counted down this top 10 before as a lot of great drivers having a great run tonight, and we're getting some of the drivers in the top 3 finishers in the room, Paul. Hopefully we'll get to catch up with each of them.
Indeed, we are going to catch up with the 3rd place finisher. That 9 truck didn't really see him too much all race long, but coming home on the podium. Jason, what's going through your mind, man?
A lot of fun. We tried hanging out in the back and keeping the wheels on everything, pointing straight. till it was time to push at the end. Things got a little interesting there, the last caution. But yeah, it was a good run.
Entertaining the masses as only NEP can do on these big tracks. What was the fuel strategy getting into this one? Did you kind of iron everything out? Was there any kind of plan to short pit throughout the race, or?
Not really. We knew we'd probably have a green-white checker, so we wanted to go a little longer. We were saving fuel pretty much the whole time. Even took probably a little too much at that last pit stop. I still had like 8 laps to the good. Under that last green-white checkers, I don't know what I ended up with. But just try to run it out to like lap 23, 22, 23. Obviously, we were all trying to work together the best we could, and Brent and Messer kind of being out front used more gas than the other 3 or 4 of us. But hard part is pitting is just to make sure you pit clean and don't have any issues. I think one of the teammates had a little issue, got a little too close to the wall and had to back up, and we lost him for most of the race after that. But you just got to pay attention to what you're doing and make sure you hit your marks and stuff and not run each other over coming into the pits.
It seems to have worked out better than expected for the 9 truck. Jason finishing in 3rd. Solid run here tonight. We'll give you an opportunity to thank anybody out there watching who gets you to and from the virtual racetrack.
Definitely got to give Johnny Peters a big shout out. He wasn't able to make it with us, had a prior commitment. 229 Autosports, all the guys on the team, for all the encouragement. I think this is my 2nd week in a row that I've got to talk to you guys, or 2nd race in a row. RKM Setup Shop, Oxford Plains Speedway. Old Biscuits there leading our train up front. That worked out pretty well. You guys, obviously, for putting on the race and having the coverage of Vidane and stuff. I guess that's about it. Oh, Nitro and Nitro Designs and Winter Pit Products and all the WAGs.
All the
Eagle
WAGs.
Ladder all the WAGs. Eagle Ladder Relocation Center services.
They still owe us a logo. We're gonna have to get hooked up offline and figure that out. But solid 3rd place finish there for the 9 truck and down pit road just a little bit further. Aaron, have you caught up with our winner? You caught up with 2nd place? Where are you?
Oh, let's go down the line, and we already started with 3rd. We'll go with 2nd. Keith Lord. Good to have you here on this particular Thursday night. I know you don't get to join us on too many these days, but definitely capitalizing with the runner-up finish.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a lot of fun. Team Icon, we all worked really well together. Finally put a full race together, worked well on pit road, didn't make any mistakes, and we just kind of took control of the race and we kept it. I'm a little bummed, I lost control of the race, but it was good. It was to Joey. Before that caution, he was running a little hot, so he had to duck to the top, and I just lost control of it there, and then the caution came out, so I was committed to pushing him. Once I lined up behind him, I was going to make sure that we won the race, whether it was me or him or Reggie. So that was a lot of fun, and it's pretty impressive. This whole NEP deal with these trucks, like you watch a lot of iRacing leagues, you can't even get a green flag pit stop, and it's like week in, week out. It doesn't matter if it's a half mile, a mile, or super speedway. We're always having green flag pit stops, and that makes a lot of fun. And just racing with these guys has been a blast. So I'm glad we finally got to talk to you guys this year.
Yeah, now we did have that green-white checker finish, though, even though we did have a lot of great green flag racing. Take us through that final restart. It just seemed to be who was pushing who the best there on that as you all got back up to speed. And was part of the strategy to try to push Joey far enough where you could clear that outside, whoever was on the outside lane, and then be able to potentially make a move on Joey?
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. I kind of told Joey and them, I was pretty committed to them and just staying glued to his bumper. But out of 4 was, every man for themselves. I couldn't quite do it. That outside lane was pushing good. Reggie was a really good pusher. So I knew it was going to be tough. And I felt like the outside is kind of preferred if it's done right. So it was hard to get that momentum. You probably needed a couple more laps on the bottom for that to happen. But I was more than happy just to stay committed and finally finish out a good run. I've had a couple top 5s this year, but it was good to finally finish in the top 3. So I was committed. I wanted to, Aaron, I wanted to push him out and see if I could sneak to the top, but it didn't quite work out.
For sure, a definitely a respectable run for sure. Your best of the year and probably in a couple of years. But yeah, who helped you get to this 2nd place finish tonight?
Team Icon 1729 Inc. Core Race Products, CLR, ZFR, Max Industrial, Yoda. Yeah, those are all the people that helped me get here. And again, congrats to Joey on probably the biggest win of his career, virtual or anything. So.
All right. Well, yeah,
This one
I'm
pays
sure
better than all the rest.
Yeah, this beats the Greenville Pickens winter meltdown out of the water in the month of February, doesn't it, Joey? But we'll give Paul the chance to talk to Joey next. Congratulations, Keith.
Thank you.
Yeah, old biscuits. Joey Wright, Dwyron over in Victory Lane here at Talladega. Big win, fast truck. Talk to us. What's going through your mind, Joey?
It was a fun race. I didn't make many laps at Daytona without getting crashed, so I didn't have much expectations going into it, but everybody worked pretty good. Our pit strategy, I felt like, was the way to go. The second stop, we didn't get off pit road quite as good, so but at the end, we were all at the front, and it didn't really matter who won as long as one of us was able to win, and I was committed to pushing Keith, but I was running hot, so we had to jump to the top of Reggie, and then they crashed right after. So fortunate enough to get the, take control of the race at that point. And on the last restart, we were just hoping that either Reggie, myself, or Keith were gonna pull it off.
Now, we talked to the folks at home earlier on here tonight. We made mention that these drivers and these teammates are kind of able to communicate back and forth with the voice chat channels and the different ways of talking back and forth. How often are you talking back and forth with your teammates?
I don't talk that much, but the rest of them do, so I just listen.
Sometimes that's the best move to make. That's how you gather all the information. But a great run here tonight. 73 truck parking it in Victory Lane. Other than the teammates, who else gets you here? Who got you to Victory Lane?
Just my Bluey Racing team. It's been pretty eventful the last few races. We've crashed, I think, every week, so it was good to just finish one this week.
Finishing in the best spot possible there in P1. Gonna grab that virtual trophy and move on into Michigan next week. And Aaron, that's gonna be a whole lot of fun.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's another one of those speedways. No restrictor plates. No, we won't see 2 and 3 wide racing all the time, but a lot of great strategy and still some opportunity. There's a lot of space in those corners to make some passes on the outside and we'll see who might be running right up against the wall, trying to gain some momentum and whatnot. So it's going to be fun next Thursday.
Absolutely, and that's going to wrap things up here for us on VidaneTV from the virtual Talladega. We will catch you on the flip side, and when we do, we're going to be doing it live.